Hi everyone, happy Sunday. It's beautiful here in Cape Town. I know it's early for my friends in America and certainly those on the West Coast, but it's just, it's hard to get the times to work sometimes on my schedule for that clock. But I wanted to spend a little time with you guys and do a little check-in. So what was on my mind in particular was this idea of cleanliness being next to godliness. And in order to understand that, we have to understand what does godliness mean, in simple terms, it means goodliness, that which is good, that which is life-generating, that which is in flow with the supreme force of life. So we start with this idea. It's even though it's considered to be biblical, it's actually just a proverb, an old proverb, possibly dating back to the Babylonian days and the Hebrews in that time. But but it's a term that obviously had longevity because of its truth. Cleanliness is next to godliness, is next to goodliness. Cleanliness is goodliness. And there's so many ways to unpack that and understand it, but mostly I want you to understand why. Why do we care? Why do we want to be goodly? Well, because it makes our life good. In the most simple terms, it makes our life good. The closer we are to spirit, the better our lives will be. And the mistake is that we see ourselves as separate to spirit when really we're a vessel for spirit. And what we have outside of our bodies in the ethers, it's scalar energy. It's not just air. What we breathe is not just air. We breathe intelligence. We breathe the vitality of life. It's the essence of the Creator, the essence of the Supreme Force. So this is why the breath is so important. And this is why we need to have a vessel that's open and clear, so that when we breathe this fresh, clear air, this vitality, this scalar etheric energy, it has the effect of propelling and conducting is the word, conducting that which is out in the ethers in through us, so we can feel that embodiment, that incredible embodiment of the supreme force, which we are meant to be a vessel for. And in that experience, we hold the divine. We are carriers of, we are vessels of the divine. Now, if we instead cut ourselves off from that and we breathe and consume and watch and listen to things that are antithetical to that supreme force, then we're going to cut ourselves off from it. And as we know in the Matrix, that's all we get. So by the time we're just a few years old, we are saturated in that antithetical, anti-energy, that substance that actually prevents one from being connected to their divine truth, and snuffs out, like those candle snuffers will snuff out a candle, any of the goodness that's already there innately within. So when we say cleanliness is next to godliness, what we're saying is that the openness in the vessel is the prerequisite to being connected with the supreme force. And when that connection with the supreme force is available and flowing and conducting, then your life is good. Without that, your life can't be good. You will wind up with all nature of ailments and illnesses, physical, emotional, mental, energetic, sexual, in every way. So this is what it's about. And I had a dream actually a couple of nights ago. It was quite remarkable. I actually saw the saturation in people's bodies and was aware of my own. And this is in no way to seem special, because I'm not. I'm just like everybody else. I've just been cleansing for a very long time. I've been cleansing for 20 years. And I'm meticulous with my vessel because in being meticulous with my vessel, I get all the supreme force. I get to embody that. And even when life is so difficult and has so many challenges, because we're living in this matrix and the challenges are coming at us on all sides, we become like a super ninja because we can actually deal with them, we can contend with them and identify them and transcend them. So in this dream, as I was seeing the beings, the bodies, the people of that were raised in and growing up and living in the matrix, I just saw this dense saturation. And in real life, in waking life, I should say, when I'm not dreaming, good morning, Lars. Very good morning to you. When we're dreaming, we can't really necessarily help what we dream. In my waking time, what I always try to do is see people in their glory. I see them in their wholeness and see them in their highest potential, because I believe that that's how we bless each other. We see we see that which is the best, not being unaware of, not ignoring things that could be dangerous, of course, but blessing people in that way. And so the dream was disconcerting, but it was also just really, it really illustrated the amount. It's like Spirit wanted me to see the quantity of saturation in people so that I would be compelled and inspired to send this message out, because I get these niggling sort of whispers all the time. It's like Great Spirit is always just saying, this is why you're here, this is what you do, this is what you need to continue to communicate. And sometimes I think to myself, oh, but I've said it so many times already. Do I need to keep saying it? Haven't I already said it? Isn't it enough? I mean, do people really want to be nagged about this? And doesn't it come off as a bit pedantic? Hi, Suresh. So, and I think the answer is people benefit from repetition. I know I benefited from repetition hugely when I think of how much time I spent with my mentor, Gil Jacobs, and how, he would say things to me many, many, many times, and the penny didn't drop until that one moment when I was really ready to receive it, and then I would be able to integrate that. So, at the risk of seeming pedantic and repetitive, I want to focus solely on the concept and understanding the saturation in the body from these anti-energetic sources and forces that have filled up the vessel and prevented us from being at one with that which we truly are, which is the Supreme Spirit, Great Spirit, the Supreme Force, whatever you want to call it. You can call it God, you can call it, the force of life, whatever you like. Lately, I've really been resonating with Great Spirit. Great Spirit feels really good to me. I often call it the Supreme Force, the Supreme Spirit. But there's no separation from that. It's only this matrix that has caused us to believe that there is separation. The more we expunge that which does not belong in us, the more we get to become one with our true design, which is this Supreme Force, Great Spirit. And it's all around us. So again, what you're seeing when you're in nature, when you're away from cities, away from the noxiousness of all of that, and you're truly in the dynamic ethers, which is the scalar energy, you are breathing and moving and expressing and within the Great Spirit. And if you can clear yourself and you clear your tissues, you clear your lungs, you clear your mind, you clear your heart of all those things that the matrix has put into you, then you become open and you actually become a vacuum for the Great Spirit. And there's no separation, there's no distinction other than what is your quotient, what is your quotient of Great Spirit essence in your being. But we have to make space for it, you have to make room for it. And the saturation in the tissues is one of the most tangible ways, is the most tangible way to make space for it. So we need to acknowledge the quantity of saturation in the tissue. And this is what the dream was reminding me that I needed to communicate. We can get to a point after a significant amount of cleansing where there is such extensive removal of the saturation of waste that we can feel that divine essence in us. And once you feel that, you'll never go back. It's not about merely being healthy and staying out of the doctor's office and, not being symptomatic or losing weight. It's those things should be a given, but because of the matrix lifestyle we're in, they're not. They're more common. But we can live a life where we are asymptomatic and we don't worry about carrying extra weight. That becomes an extra kind of icing on the cake, though. The most important thing is we remember who we are, because we carry that divine energy, that scalar energy through our bodies, our being, and our mentality. And then we don't have to struggle. We don't have to wrestle so much with, I'm going to use the word demons, because that's really what they are. When these unfavorable substances take over, they come together in the form of entities. And they compel us to keep consuming things by way of, not just by way of mouth, but by what we watch, by what we are prepared to listen to, by the places we want to put ourselves, the experiences we want to have. They can actually be just as toxic as something you would eat or drink. So they compel us to do the things that feed them. These demonic forces. So again, when we go back to the concept of cleanliness is next to godliness, it starts to come together. It's godliness is goodliness. Goodliness is that which is life-generating, the divine source, the energy, that substance that comes from the Creator. And when we don't have that, then we have its opposite. We have, and there's a full spectrum. Let me say not its opposite. There's a spectrum of lower energies that start to compel us to do things. And this is what she would call demons. And so then we wind up wrestling with these demons instead of having a life where we're strong in the goodliness. It's a funny word, goodliness. It sounds funny. It sounds very sort of like pilgrim-like to say this word, but very Pollyanna. But forgive me that. I'm not trying to be puritanical here. It's just that it is a purity that when we seek that purity, it has such a strength to it. And you don't want to miss that in your life, because you don't want to go around wrestling with these demons. You want to have the upper hand on them. It's kind of like training in martial arts. You train so that when you encounter something that would take you down or would like to exploit you for some reason, or steal your wallet or whatever it is, you can take them down, and you don't have to worry about being taken over by this external force that's unfavorable and wishes for your demise, for its growth and its strength. And that's what these demons do. These demonic entities do. And when we have, whether it's, and I'm happy to take questions, by the way, guys. Very happy to take questions, because this is really a check-in. It's a check-in with the theme of the importance of cleanliness and why. But these demons come in so many forms. It's our the addictions we have. It's the negative thoughts we have. It's the resentments we carry. It's the vanity and the jealousy and the greed and all of these things. They're only there because we've given them room to breathe and grow, and we've given them real estate in our being. But what's happened is the goodliness is displaced in order for there to be space for these things. So we do need to call them out. We need to give ourselves, though, the chance to follow a system of cleansing that enables this saturation and these demons to leave. And the tissue cleansing affords us that chance. It creates the conditions for these demons to leave, literally, just through our openings. And thank goodness we're so porous. Thank goodness we're so fluid. But that fluidity, when it's once we fill that space, that real estate, with things that are anti-energetic, they calcify. So that which is in flow, or I should say, that which is defined by the highest properties of life, there is flow. There's always flow. That which is defined by its opposite, or in the spectrum of things that are life deteriorating, are always going to prevent flow, which means it's going to lead to calcification, stagnation, which is where the death cycle begins. So we need to make sure that these things that were caught up in us, whether physically or emotionally or mentally, are enabled to, the conditions are created so that they can leave. So that's really what I want to focus on. And if anyone has any questions about cleansing, please don't hesitate. It's critical that everybody have a very good juicer that they're comfortable with, that they can use on a daily basis, that doesn't exhaust them. I always talk about the Breville cold press juicer just because it's so easy to use. If a juicer's not easy to use, it doesn't matter, that it's twin blade masticating, cold pressed, all these things. If you don't use it and you're not happy to use it every day, then it's not going to do you any good. And juice is necessary to awaken that saturation, that acidic saturation, that waste. So we awaken it with the juicer, with the juices, I should say, and then we show it the door through our eliminative organs, predominantly through our intestine. And for this, we need the colon hydrotherapy, the colonic irrigations. Everyone should have an enema kit. And I mean, I know these things are becoming more popular, actually. 20 years ago when I started talking about this stuff, people would really give me a hard look, like, what are you talking about? There's no way I'm going to put that there, and that just doesn't seem normal or natural. Well, in fact, it is extremely normal and natural. What's abnormal and unnatural is to fill our beautiful vessel with anti-energetic substances that could never leave on their own, and we need to help them out. So when we live in a world that is antithetical to life, we need to do some things that will offset that, to turn that around. And sometimes these things will seem radical, but they do the job and they fix it. And thank goodness we have them. Of course, I have the Enlightener, which I created about 15 years ago to enable people to have the full colonic experience at home. An enema, you take the water in, then you have to release and take it in and release, and that's it's great if that's your only option. And they're super inexpensive. You can get an enema kit for less than $20 at your local drugstore. I highly recommend the Cara enema kit, C-A-R-A. In particular, the fountain syringe. I talk about this one a lot. It just makes it easier. That particular model enables you to keep filling the actual enema bag with water without having to take the top off and pour water in. It's just a lot easier. You'll see when you use it. But then there's the Enlightener, which is your home colonic unit, which is a full high colonic, and enables you to have non-stop water flow. You have your the water going in and the speculum that enables the water to the waste to leave simultaneously. Simultaneous waste flow, stainless steel speculum, medical surgical grade. It's fabulous. You'll use that for the rest of your life. And then, of course, your local colon hydrotherapist. We love our colon hydrotherapist. And in fact, I have somebody on board now, finally, who has so graciously offered to update the colon hydrotherapy directory. We have an international global colon hydrotherapy directory on the website, but it is so dated, and I'm so sorry about that, both for people who want to use it and for the therapists themselves. So if there are any colon hydrotherapists out there listening to this, or anyone who loves their colon hydrotherapist that wants to send me a note that I can pass on to this individual who's updating it for me, please do. Just send me a direct message, private message, whatever it's called, on Facebook, and I will get it to the right person, and we can get this updated for everyone. Those are the three options: your enema, your Enlightener, and your colon hydrotherapist. If you're really into the cleansing, you really want to be successful, you have all of them. It's I recommend a good series of at least 12 colonics with a professional before getting the Enlightener. I like to give the Enlightener to people who really understand how the process works, rather than someone who's just likes the idea of it. So please find yourself a good colon hydrotherapist, and if you can't, then we can make accommodation. I can walk you through things. I make myself available to everyone who gets the Enlightener, because I just know it's actually, to be honest, there's nothing that really gives me much more pleasure than knowing that someone is satisfactorily and sufficiently cleansing, and to be a part of that is a great joy for me. So so when you get your enlightener, check in with me, and I'll help you make sure that it's set up and that everything is flowing as it should be. And it is, again, it's a secret joy of my life to help people do that. And then, of course, having an enema at home. And the enema enables you to do implants too, which is something that more advanced cleansers will learn about. But there's so much waste. And if there's any question mark about how much waste is in the body, you know, you can recapitulate your life's intake and think about all those things, and don't miss a decade, don't miss a year, don't miss a time period in your life. Think about all the details and all the holidays and all the, you know, late night study sessions and all the emotional eating and, you know, all the things that you can think about in your lifetime that went into this vessel that displaced Great Spirit's energy for anti-energetic forces. And you'll see just how deep this matter goes, how concentrated it is. And it truly, truly is. And it's not, you don't have to be heavy to have a huge amount of accumulated waste. Lots of otherwise lean-looking people have a ton of waste. It's just that it's all dehydrated. So because the body is so warm, it's 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, it's basically like the Arizona desert. Your body's just baking this waste into the cells and tissues. The water's leaving, and when the water leaves, the substance becomes very, very tiny, and you can have a ton of saturated waste in a very skinny looking person for that reason. And also, what's so important to understand is this waste, saturation of waste, it permeates the entire organism. It doesn't stop in the intestine. This is one of the reasons why it's so important that people understand that if you go for a colonoscopy and the intestine is cleaned out in preparation for that, you can still have that pink, clear intestine and be saturated with waste, because it's just the center that you've released. The waste is deep in the layers of the intestine, which is so long, so enormous. You know, if you took your alimentary canal and stood it up next to you, it's taller than you are. It's longer than you are. But that's just the beginning, because it's filled with layers and layers and layers. There's so much space for this waste to fill. And then there's the rest of the body. And this is why we see skin issues, because you know, you've got all the tissues of the intestine and all the organs, and then you have all these layers of skin tissue for this waste matter to take up residence in. And when that happens, you know, we start to see so many symptoms on the skin, even just the microscopic little bumps. You know, that's inflammation. It's the body being irritated, the body being angry. It's saying stop. Every time the body has a symptom, it's trying to communicate something to us. It's trying to say, please stop what you're doing. It's not working for me. And then if we listen and we stop it and we figure out what we could be doing that's too acidic or overdoing in some way, or has some kind of chemical, or there's radiation, or there's something that's irritating the body, if we get the message and we stop, then the symptom goes away. But unfortunately, what happens in our culture is where there's a symptom, there is a suppression of symptom. And what our medical system is about is suppressing symptoms as opposed to getting to the original cause. And even holistic doctors don't get to the original cause, because a lot of people just simply, and I mean this, you know, in the most humble way, they don't understand that the saturation of waste matter is the core problem. You know, we could say, well, the core problem is culture and is the matrix. Yes, because that tells us to do this. But in terms of what is the problem in the body, it is the saturation of waste. And it's really simple to get to the bottom of, because, you know, you don't have to have, there's no guesswork required. You do it, you do the work, you awaken the waste, you release the waste, and you have the end result. You know, you don't have to take my word for it. Never take my word for anything, please. I want you to experience this. I want you to take this waste out of the body and experience your life without it. And don't be afraid of what that might look like or feel like, because a lot of people will hear that and they'll think, oh, but you know, I can't change what I eat because I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do what you do. I'm not asking you to do what I do. I'm asking you to do what's necessary to start removing the waste. And that's very simple. And that's not extreme at all. You have, at the very least, you start having a daily green juice. And you start using your enema bag. And you start releasing this stuff. Because also, it's very, very important to appreciate that there's not going to be a release if there's not an awakening. So if you've heard somewhere along the line that colonics aren't that effective, that would simply only be a case of somebody going for colonics without doing the awakening work, without having the green juices, without throwing some raw salads into their diet. You know, if you're eating normally, everything is still suppressed in the tissue, so nothing's going to be leaving. We tee this waste up, we prep it, we create the conditions for elimination. Otherwise, there won't be much, and that's why that would be a potential outcome for somebody who's not doing the work properly. The formula is awaken, release, and you do that repetitively, and this waste leaves you. And imagine you have a saturation quotient of 100 right now, and a couple weeks of this work, your saturation quotient goes down to 75, and then a few more weeks and a few more months, it's going down, and this waste is leaving. And with every great elimination you have, your vitality soars, and great spirit starts to reoccupy this space, which means that the integrity of your organs is going to increase, making them that much more functional. So the speed at which you'll be able to release the waste will consistently be increasing. So your ability to release waste when your saturation quotient is 100 is going to be vastly lower than when your saturation quotient is 50. And then you get, along the way, you just become, your body, it's like you're switching on the mechanisms that enable your body to release this waste. So everything starts to work for you and to this end. And your addictions decrease significantly, because as you release these demons, they're the ones that are addicted to all this stuff. So you're releasing them, thereby restoring your power. You become literally empowered as you do this, because that which was draining your power, siphoning off your power, is leaving. So so everybody must have their juicer and be using their juicer and making green juice. Don't make fruit juice with your juicer. Make fruit juice if you want to, for guests or for somebody else who wants it, but for you and for your cleansing, this is about green juice. And it doesn't have to be too dark. You actually don't want it to be too dark. If it's too dark, it becomes too medicinal, which might make you a little bit queasy. The cleaner you are, the darker a juice you can have, meaning that the more waste you've eliminated, the more you can tolerate this, the intensity of the alkaline, the electrons basically is what they are, the electrons in the very dark leafy greens. But in the beginning, if you're carrying a lot of extra weight, if you have had a lot of gastrointestinal problems, or if you're fairly symptomatic, if you get headaches easily, then just have a very light green juice. Romaine, lettuce, cucumber, lemon, a little ginger if you like, done. And as you feel good with something that simple, that light, you can start adding some darker greens. Add some arugula, which they call rocket here. I like to call it rocket fuel. I have my own rocket growing in the garden. It's amazing. It's like the perfect food. For me, it's the perfect food, arugula. But you start increasing them. You add your herbs if you want to, your cilantro, your basil. Parsley is delicious in the juice. All of it is, but it can be very simple, and it doesn't have to be gourmet. It doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, simplicity is something we really must address. But just to close out on that thought, that point, have your juicer, have your colon irrigation somehow, and then you're on the road, and you're cleansing, and your saturation quotient is lessening. You are restoring your divine space with great spirit, as opposed to that which should never have entered your divine vessel to begin with. Simplicity, very important to understand that all of this, these complicated, albeit trendy, raw food, vegan, all this stuff, it's unnecessary, and it can often actually derail a person, A, because of the expense, B, because it can be very addictive, many reasons. It might be convenient and it might be fun and tasty, and for those who, don't have any issues around affordability, it can be fun to dabble in, but it can still derail you because it's too ornate for the body to really have successful cleansing with. So what I'm getting at is just simplify everything. We've become way too obsessed in our culture with things having to taste so fabulous and be so, it's part of that, it's part of the demons that are, suggesting that things need to be, again, so fabulous on the palate. Enable yourself to take a few days to just allow for simple food. Steam some greens, have an avocado salad with some lemon juice, and I like to add stevia because it adds that little sweetness that's in most salad dressings. Stay away from sugars, obviously. Stay away from oils. A lot of times people will ruin really great, potentially cleansing meals with oils, and that's a big mistake. So keep it really simple. And in fact, I'm toying with the idea of leading a 7-day, very, very simple cleanse that anybody can do with any background, of any age, and just for 7 days to just experience, just tap into what it means to have the saturation leave the tissue. And once you have that happen, because in 7 days, it's happening. It's absolutely, without question, happening if you're doing it right, which is what I would love to just give people a taste of. Give them that 7 days, give you that 7 days, and you experience it, you have the eliminations, and you're on track. And you're on the right track, and that your life is going to be so much better because you're going to avoid all these ailments, you're going to release all these demons, you're going to refill your holy vessel with divine energy, and then really live and contend with the things that are challenging, because there always will be. It's not to say, we're going to live in this perfect little bubble where it's all love and light and happiness and sweetness. No, it means that you can contend with that which is not love, light, happiness, and sweetness, because you are filled with a very powerful force, with the force of the Creator, that which you were designed to be a carrier of, for there to be no differentiation between that and you, just that you are individuated in carrying that in your vessel, that great, great force from the source. So if there aren't any further questions, I'll leave it at that for today. And I wish you all the most wonderful, blissful, happy Sunday, and ponder this, think on it, understand the simplicity of it and the value of it, because that saturation in your body doesn't belong there. And it's easier than you think to release it. And the way your life will change when you do may be hard for you to imagine while you're feeling the suppression that saturation creates, but it's there, and it's within reach. It's right there. You're so close. It's opening. It's unlocking the cage of your life, restoring your power, and giving you the chance to really live out what you were born to experience as a human being. All right. So much love, everyone. Until next time. Bye for now.